Day 2 of Carolina Panthers mandatory minicamp. We got action, y'all. Let's talk about it today on the One Carolina Show. Day 2 of the Carolina Panthers mandatory minicamp was held today, and man, I tell you, same energy as yesterday, even better today. Defense bringing the tone, setting the tone. Trayvon Moreg intercepting Bryce Young's in 11 on 11s. Look, love to see it. Hope that it doesn't become too confrontational right away, especially before they get pads on. You don't want to cause any injuries to anybody. But to me, this is setting the tone for what training camp is actually going to be like, which will set the tone for the season. I'll be honest with you, I was super excited about this. I know J.C. Horn spoke yesterday about him and Bryce Young jawing back and forth with each other once Bryce had called out him for calling out the play that the offense was getting ready to run. So this clearly had to be spillover from what happened the day before. But I love seeing this happen, man. Josh Norman in attendance today talking to some of the players. Got the old guard in the house just like we saw yesterday with some of the guys that were around yesterday during practice. But I love this, because Josh knows this all too well, that kind of tone-setting attitude. Josh had that attitude. It cultivated more attitude out of guys like Luke and Thomas Davis, and then, of course, Cam Newton and that incident that happened between them the year that we went on the Super Bowl run. So you need this kind of stuff. You need this tone-setting stuff. And to see that, Trayvon Moreg is already kind of doing that. Lathan Ransom is another guy that, is kind of doing that. J.C. Horn, obviously going to be a guy that does that. It's just going to light a fire under the defense, which is in turn going to light a fire under the offense. And these training camp battles that are going to be coming up are going to be absolutely fascinating. So I can't wait to see what that looks like. In some other news, man, injuries. Teteroy McMillan, leg injury. Obviously, Dave Canales says it's not anything serious. Let's listen to what he has to say here.
Yeah, TMac's fine. Went down for a ball, got kicked in the leg. It swelled up, so we just, as a precautionary, just sat him out today. Hopefully we'll get him back out tomorrow.
So as Dave Canales mentioned, a slight bump between him and a DB, swelling of the leg, hopefully nothing serious. Obviously, we don't think it's anything serious. He'll be back tomorrow in full swing. We definitely don't want there to be any kind of injuries, especially before there's even full contact. So prayers up to Teteroy McMillan for a speedy recovery, just a little bit of rest time, and back to business. Still looking to see Jimmy Horn out there. Not a lot of information about what's going on with him, so I'm sure that's something that'll be talked about in the coming weeks, especially leading up to actual training camp, considering that tomorrow is the last day of mandatory mini camp. So can't wait to see what happens with Horn. Man, some other great news coming out of camp today. Bryce Young lighting it up in the red zone. Xavier Legette, 2 touchdowns in the red zone. Great work, something that you absolutely love to see. Xavier Legette getting an opportunity to really show his work in the offseason, ball skills, hands, all that good stuff that we know that he can develop to become. So you love to see that the work is actually being put in, and then the fruit of that work is being shown in those red zone drills, and seeing that Bryce Young is becoming even more accurate. Was reading some of the tweets that said that one he put, and it was an absolute needle right through traffic. Bryce showing off that Alabama accuracy, so we look forward to seeing that moving forward as well. Man, defense getting some good reps in. One of the players that I'm really excited about going into this training camp season, one of my players to watch, is Tuasivi Noramura. Now, I know a lot of people don't know a whole lot about him. He's an undrafted guy that we got from Fresno State. Bounced around a lot, USC, Fresno State. But, man, this guy is a human wrecking ball. Think Frankie Louvu potential 2.0. Now I don't know if he'll make this team. It's a deep, room with Christian Rosebloom being added, with Trevor Wallace developing, Claudin Cherrill is still on the roster. There's other guys that are kind of in the way right now, but I hope to see that he does really well in training camp, because I think that this could be something that could really benefit him tremendously. He is, like I said, an absolute human wrecking ball. So I look forward to seeing what kind of production that he puts up. There were some interesting conversations going on. I saw a Sports Illustrated article that suggested that potentially Adam Thielen could be on the trading block. I thought that was interesting. Not sure that I'd necessarily agree, but at the same time, I understand the reasoning behind why you would say that or why you would think that, considering the fact that Adam Thielen is older, probably would want to go to a contender, But man, the chemistry between him and Bryce Young, all these great things that he said about Bryce Young, the reason why he came back this year, because he wanted to see the development, continued development of Bryce Young and everything, from, everybody from his family saying the same thing. I just have a hard time seeing that somebody like him could be moved as a result of those things being said. But this is the NFL, and youth movement is in full effect. Like I said, to me, it's only going to take one time or two times or a few times, if you will, seeing someone like Horn, or even, the iteration of someone like McMillan and Jalen Coker in the slot, or Xavier Legette, and see those formations together where maybe Adam Thielen is not out there, where they have an opportunity to show like this burst of speed and opportunity with the young guys, where you may come to a conclusion and say, hey, Adam, look, you've done great for us, man. We appreciate the work that you've done with the receivers and helping them to be able to develop. But we're going to do you a favor, see if there's an opportunity for you to go out there. We're going to go forward with the youth movement because we see some things in some of these guys that just undeniable, and we want to continue to go in that direction. We'll give you the opportunity to go out here, find your way somewhere, man. Find a place where you can go win a ring because you deserve it. Hey, that might even be with us. I'm not saying that we're going to the bowl. Stranger things have happened. Once upon a time, the Rams team was 4-12, and they went on to win a Super Bowl. So stranger things have happened. But in the event that they do trade him, I don't think that that's going to happen again. Then that's something that, I think that they would do, give him an opportunity to go somewhere where he can compete for that hardware that he very much deserves. Another thing that I saw that I found very interesting was this analysis of Javon Sanders from Roll Coverage. Someone that I follow on X, I'm sure many of you may follow as well. If you don't, he did post a video where he kind of went through an analysis of why he believes that Javon Sanders could be an option for a trade for Carolina. And I may not necessarily agree with the idea of trading Javon Sanders, especially with the work that he's put in the offseason, coming back bigger, stronger, faster. But he did raise some very interesting and fascinating points. Let's check it out here.
So many people thought, say, for example, a Kyle Pitts could be. Just absolutely dynamic talent, can really go out there and high point the ball, and, of course, get mismatches against linebackers. Sanders can do all of that. But one thing that we are not taking into account is that Dave Canales does not run a whole lot of 12 personnel, which means he's either running Mitchell Evans / Tommy Tremble. Obviously, Tommy Tremble's got a little bit of an injury right now, but he prefers those bigger, stronger guys with a great blocking opportunity. Now, obviously, as we continue down the road, if we want to be able to get to a position where Tommy Tremble is in the lineup all the time, we're probably running the ball at a much higher clip. If Javon Sanders is in, we're really trying to throw ourselves back into a game. We're down. He's getting the opportunities over the middle that an Adam Thielen or a Hunter Renfrow or even Xavier Legette would normally get. But hey, he's just available. Let's get the ball to him because we've got to have two tight ends out there. I think that that's going to be a bit of a tell for a lot of teams, especially when they're wanting to defend us quite a bit. That's going to be one of the big things to stop us. Obviously, the running game is going to be something, but our offensive line is considerably better at run blocking as opposed to pass blocking. Pass blocking, we were hurting last year, and I think that that's going to get a lot worse given our center position right now. But I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that this Javon Sanders tell, per se, is something to read into? Do you really think that he's going to...
Now, I agree with this to some degree. That is a tell. Like, it's something that, like, not everything is... I can't remember how that saying goes. It was like, not everything is something. But to me, this is fascinating because we know that Dave Canales wants to be very bullish with the run, right? That goes without saying. Javon Sanders, one of his biggest reasons that he fell so far in the draft last year was because of his blocking opportunities, right? And the lack thereof, if you will. Now, I'm a firm believer that people can develop into something that they may not have been, or create something that was a, weakness into a strength. But it also begs the question, why draft Mitchell Evans, right? There were other needs, the center position, as mentioned, right, that there were needs for. Now, maybe on their board, there wasn't someone there at the center position that would have been worthy of the same pick that they picked Mitchell Evans with. But a lot of people are very excited about Evans as a player, I being one of them. And I don't know a ton about him, right? But if he provides you that traditional blocking tight end capability and he develops some really good pass catching, which if you go back and look at his Notre Dame tape, there's something there, right? So if both of those things can become a factor for him, it does honestly beg the question, where does a primarily pass catching tight end fit in this offense? Now, I, for one, think that he would fit well, but it may not be in the same way that, most of us would like to see in the likes of, say, George Kittle or, any of the popular tight ends across the league. You take your pick, right? But in the way of someone like a Steven Sullivan, who we had here before, I think that he would play a very pivotal role. We saw a lot of really awesome opportunities for him in the offense last year. A whole shot that Bryce Young threw to him at the end of the year in the Atlanta game that was just absolutely unbelievable. But again, that was on empty pass play, so what he was saying here, roll coverage, makes a lot of sense. So I'll link his video in the description. I appreciate his contribution, man. That was a really interesting analysis I just happened to run across, and I thought, man, I want to share this because I think this is really cool. But either way, let me know what you think. Make sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell notification so you never miss a video. If you want to hear what I think about Jalen Ramsey and whether or not the Carolina Panthers can afford him, make sure to click this video above. Until next time, guys, keep pounding.